Fukheo and Kongkwan were childhood friends, and their families were also very close. But everything suddenly turned into a nightmare the day Kongkwan's sister murdered Fukheo's brother. This tragic event put an end to their friendship. From that point on, Fukheo constantly sought revenge on Kongkwan, despite the fact that she was innocent. What will become of their story? Is there any chance their friendship can return? EP1 Mai took her younger brother to see a movie, one that he could watch over and over and still enjoy it like it was the first time. Actually, Mai didn't come to watch the movie, but to watch Fukheo, her brother, watch the movie. Their dad used to show movies outdoors, so Mai learned about showing movies from a young age. But the two siblings only liked going to the movie theater. Their dad always forbade them from going to the theater and made them watch the movies he showed. Today, when Mai took her brother to the movie and came home, their parents found out, and their dad hit Mai for taking his brother, and because he didn't want him hanging around with the owner of that movie theater anymore. He also warned Fukheo that if he went again, he'd get hit just like his brother. The next day, the family gathered with the neighbors to have breakfast together. It turned out that the families in the neighborhood, who used to just be neighbors, had become as close as family, eating together, and their kids going to school together. But Mai always felt like he didn't belong in this big family. Today was Kongkwan's first day of school, so she cried a lot. Fukheo was always the one to comfort her. He even gave her the doll that his brother had given him, so it could be her friend while they were separated in class. As for Mai, he frequently skipped school, which meant Kongkwan's sister, who was also a teacher at the school, had to constantly beg the student affairs manager not to report it to his parents and to let her handle it. However, it kept happening all semester, which made the student affairs manager annoyed and critical of Kongkwan's sister. She even compared Kongkwan's sister to her principal father. Mai rode in the principal's car to school every day, but the principal had no idea that he was skipping school. This showed that his sister was covering up Mai's wrongdoing. She wouldn't go easy on this misconduct just because he was the principal's relative. After school that day, the dads promised to drive their sports cars to pick up the kids. However, they were so busy preparing food that they forgot their promise. Luckily, Fukheo was quick thinking and called his brother to come pick them up. At that moment, Mai was making love in bed with Kongkwan's sister, so he quickly went to pick up the kids. Mai's dad wanted to show one last movie before ending the job that had been with him for over half his life and finding another job, because no one liked watching his outdoor movies anymore. The neighbors advised him to just put away the movie projector and go find another job. Besides, the huge amount of wealth his father had left him was enough for his family to live on for the rest of their lives. After that, everyone ate and had fun together and watched the last showing at the movie theater. But it seemed like something was going on between Mai and Kongkwan's sister. Throughout the movie, they kept secretly looking at each other. That night, when everyone went to bed, Mai went to his younger brother's room and gave him the superhero ring that he liked and promised that one day he would take him to see that superhero movie again. The little boy sensed that his brother wanted to go somewhere, so he asked, but Mai didn't answer, just told him to sleep well, and then wiped away tears and left. Fukheo looked out the window and saw his brother carrying a suitcase leaving the house late at night. The next morning, suddenly the police came knocking, and both Fukheo and Kongkwan's families were taken to the movie theater. They were surprised to see each other there. When they went inside, everyone was informed that Mai had passed away, and Kongkwan's sister also admitted that she had shot Mai. And from here, the friendship of the two families fractured. At the funeral, Plu saw Fukheo grieving beside his brother's altar. The little boy gently came to his side and said that from now on he would be Fukheo's brother. EP2, years went by, and the kids grew up. Plu always kept his promise to be the older brother and take care of them. Kongkwan and Lukso were in high school. Every day, Plu would wake up Lukso, then give Fukheo a ride to school. After that, he would come home to look after his grandparents. His grandma was old now and got confused, so she didn't even recognize him anymore. She kept hiding food, saving it for her grandson, and she wouldn't let her husband and Plu get to eat it. Fukheo was running for student council president at school. Plu kept encouraging him, telling him he believed he would do great. Lukso, always the same quirky self, looked at the list of candidates and kept praising her friend, saying that the president position was definitely going to be Fukheo's. However, she was against Fukheo having a girlfriend and told him he should break up with her quickly. She reasoned that if news got out that Fukheo had a girlfriend, he definitely wouldn't get votes from the female fans. After all, being single gets more attention, especially with Fukheo's handsome looks. Fukheo wanted a girlfriend to go to the movies with. He suggested to Luxo that they go to the movies together, so he wouldn't have to find a girlfriend. Luxo immediately refused because the movie theater Fukheo liked was old and not comfortable. She'd rather stay home and watch movies. Today, the principal invited the candidates to talk about the rules for the final election round. This year, the final round would be a public debate, and the candidates couldn't solicit votes. The principal warned that anyone caught secretly trying to get votes would be disqualified. Kangkwan was also in high school now. This year, she had passed the exam and gotten into the same school as Fukheo. Her mom noticed she wasn't feeling good and suggested she could transfer to another school. But Kangkwan had decided to take the exam for this high school, and she was tired of constantly moving and running away. So she promised her mom she would study at this high school until graduation. That evening, Plu, Luxo, and Kangkwan got together to celebrate Kangkwan getting into the school she wanted. Luxo said she was lucky that the principal had changed this year, because if it were the old principal, even if she had enough points, he definitely wouldn't let her in because he was so old-fashioned. She also told Kangkwan to go to school without worries, and she'd protect her if anything happened. Everyone was eating and having fun together when Kangkwan voiced her worry. She wondered if Fukheo knew she would be attending his school. Meanwhile, Fukheo was at the movies with his girlfriend, but he wasn't really paying attention to the film. He kept thinking about his brother. His brother used to tell him not to watch movies at this theater because it only showed old movies over and over. But Fukheo insisted on seeing movies there because it was the only place where their parents weren't around. Fukheo knew his parents didn't like his brother because his brother was his dad's child from a previous relationship. Luxo got drunk, so Plu had to carry her home on his back. Plu wanted to ask Luxo to go to school with Kangkwan in the morning, but Luxo didn't like the idea. She said Plu didn't need to take Fukheo to school every day anymore because he was old enough. But for Plu, he always wanted to take care of Fukheo as best as he could to make up for Mai. Luxo wondered if Fukheo hated Kangkwan his whole life. Would Plu give up his chances with Kangkwan? Unbeknownst to them, Fukheo was walking behind them and overheard their conversation. But he pretended he hadn't heard anything and quickly went inside. Back in his room, Fukheo remembered when he was little, after Mai passed away. His dad was heartbroken and drank alcohol all day and argued with his mom. He was drawing a birthday picture for Kangkwan when he saw his parents fighting again. So he ran to find the neighborhood aunties and uncles for help. But no one was home. When he arrived at Kangkwan's house, he saw everyone happily celebrating her birthday, but they hadn't invited him. Fukheo quietly wiped away his tears and left. The next day after school, he didn't take the school bus home. Instead, he took Kangkwan to walk home with him, making everyone panic and look for them. When her mom found her at the park, she heard her say that Fukheo had taken her to the playground and told her to wait there. Everyone looked around, but they couldn't find Fukheo anywhere, so they assumed he wanted to abandon her there. So, her mom loudly scolded Fukheo's mom and wanted to cut ties with his family. Actually, Fukheo hadn't left at all. He was hiding behind a tree. When Plu's grandma came along and found the birthday card that Fukheo had drawn, inside was a happy birthday message and a promise to always be there for her. That's when Grandma realized that Fukheo hadn't intentionally left Kangkwan there. He just wanted to take her to the park to celebrate her birthday. Back in the present, today was Kangkwan's first day of school. Before she left, her dad told her that no matter what happened, she shouldn't bow her head or turn away, because she wasn't the older sister, so she didn't have to endure anyone's criticism. For the past 10 years, because of her older sister's situation, Kangkwan had always faced alienation and criticism from her classmates, which is why she had to transfer schools so many times. Luxo's parents drove their vegetable truck to pick up Kangkwan for school. After arriving at school, Luxo left early because she had homework to do, leaving Kangkwan to go to class alone. Kangkwan arrived at the bulletin board and saw Fukheo's picture on the election poster. When she turned around, she saw him and his girlfriend holding hands. They were both surprised, but she chose not to say hello and just walked past them. EP3. In class, Kangkwan remembered her dad's words and bravely walked into the classroom. However, because she was late, the teacher scolded her. During break, she was about to say hello to her desk mate. But before she could say anything, her desk mate blurted out her whole history, making the entire class stare. Kangkwan thought things would be like before, with the whole class shunning her. But the students in the class said that they knew about her family situation, but she hadn't done anything wrong, so everyone would treat her like any other classmate. This made her very happy because it was so different from what she expected. Her desk mate also apologized to her. It turned out that she and Kongkwan had gone to elementary school together, and she was the one who had said Kongkwan would become a demon. Her desk mate felt very ashamed and guilty when she remembered what she had done as a child, so they became friends. Over in the principal's office, Nink, Fukheo's girlfriend, questioned her mom about why she let Kongkwan into the school. The principal said that Kongkwan got in because she passed the exam on her own, and she hadn't done anything wrong. She reminded her daughter not to take her anger with her boyfriend out on her, and demand that she expel Kongkwan. Meanwhile, Fukheo found out that Kongkwan was attending the school, and ran to question Luxo about why she hadn't told him. Luxo got angry, and told him not to be so childish, and make everyone uncomfortable. He was her friend, and Kongkwan was her little sister. She was caught in the middle, and it was very awkward. Plus Kongkwan hadn't done anything wrong. These words made Fukheo feel hurt, so he turned and walked away. Meanwhile, Kongkwan was with her friend at the library, filling out club application forms. She said the library was a familiar place for her, because she didn't have any friends, so she could only go to the library. At this time, Fukheo was also hiding in a corner of the library, remembering the time when his brother passed away, which caused his family to fall into chaos. His dad left home, causing his family to fall apart. Just then, Kongkwan walked over and saw him crying. She didn't want to face him, and was about to leave when Fukheo noticed her. Kongkwan apologized to Fukheo if her coming to the school made him uncomfortable. However, she wouldn't transfer to another school, and wouldn't run away anymore. Back in class, she remembered how Fukheo used to come to her house, scribble graffiti, and dump trash in front of her gate, wanting her whole family to move away. Her mom also said that his brother had passed away, and her sister had already paid the price. Her family wasn't heartless, and they were also sad about what had happened. So Fukheo didn't need to do that. But he said those two things weren't the same. His brother had passed away, and his family had fallen apart. But her sister was still alive, and when she got out of prison, their family could reunite. At this moment, Kongkwan was also very disappointed in him. She said her family would move far away, and not have anything to do with him anymore. But she wouldn't disappear. She thanked him for being a very good brother to her in the past. But from now on, she and he would no longer have any relationship. Kongkwan looked at the doll that Fukheo had given her and cried. Luxo, standing outside the door, saw this scene and felt sorry for her. Back in class, Fukheo's girlfriend came looking for Luxo, and asked her about Fukheo. But she didn't know where he was either. Nink was about to go find Kongkwan to blame her for Fukheo skipping school. But Luxo stopped her, and forbade her from touching her little sister. She wouldn't hit her because she was her friend's girlfriend, but if she touched her little sister, she wouldn't hold back. Meanwhile, Luxo's dad happened to see Plu working for the old movie theater owner, who was known to do bad things. He went over to question him, and found out that Plu had dropped out of school to work for him, to earn money, to pay for his grandma's medical treatment. Meanwhile, Fukheo went to see his dad and wanted him to come home, but he was still living in the past, drowning in his grief. So he didn't want to go home because he didn't know how to live if he went home. Back at home, his mom also asked him why he didn't let Plu drive him anymore. She also thought it was good that he knew he was a burden. She wanted him to stand on his own 2 feet, and advised him to tell Plu, so that their relationship wouldn't be damaged. Meanwhile, Luxo's dad came to bring Plu some supplies, and took the opportunity to advise him not to put so much pressure on himself, and that he could count on him for anything. The next morning, Fukheo met with Plu, and told him that he didn't want to be a burden to him, and wanted the person who always believed in him to be by his side. Him. Fukheo also wanted Plu not to contact Kongkwan anymore. EP4. Today at school, Kongkwan was admiring the necklace that Mai had given to Fukheo when her friend saw it, and asked to take a look. Kongkwan quickly snatched it back, saying it wasn't hers, and she couldn't let her friend see it. Her friend apologized. Meanwhile, Fukheo was called to the library by the librarian to talk about Kongkwan applying to join the library club. The librarian had a prejudice against Kongkwan, and didn't understand why the principal let someone like Kongkwan attend the school. When the parents heard that Kongkwan was going to school with their kids, they filed a petition to keep her from studying there. So, the teachers and the principal had a meeting to solve this problem. The principal insisted that Kongkwan attending the school didn't affect the school's reputation. This had been proven when their school was still a top school in the province despite everything that had happened in the past. The principal wanted the teachers to give Kongkwan a chance to study there. Meanwhile, Kongkwan went to ask the librarian about her application to join the club. The librarian, who was prejudiced against her, was annoyed and just pointed her toward the club without answering her questions. When she got there, she saw Fukheo gently leading a meeting with the new members, which reminded her of how he used to be so gentle with her. Later, even though he wasn't as gentle with her as before, she still had the doll he gave her when she was little to accompany her whenever she faced difficulties. Just then Fukheo came out, startling Kongkwan and making her drop the doll. Fukheo saw that she still had the doll he gave her when she was little and angrily picked it up and tore it. This made her very angry. She couldn't believe he could destroy it like that. It was Mai's thing. But to him, it didn't mean anything anymore because he was dead anyway. After that, Fukheo went to find Plu and asked him not to contact Kongkwan anymore if he still wanted to be his brother. But this was the first thing that he couldn't do for Fukheo, because it was difficult to do when they had grown up together. Fukheo understood Plu because he knew that Plu was born to live for everyone. But no matter how hard Plu tried to take care of everyone like Mai, he couldn't replace Mai because he was him, not Mai. Plu felt lost and didn't know what to do next. Later, when Plu's business partner came, he confided in him about Fukheo's situation. He also reminded him not to act so kind and be a good grandson anymore, because he had already done too many bad things. At this time, a car pulled up, and after some negotiation, they started shooting at each other. Meanwhile, Nink came to ask Fukheo to go to the movies, but he refused. Nink also felt that since Kongkwan had appeared, Fukheo wasn't the same as before. Fukheo sat and thought about what he had done to Kongkwan's doll, and saw her sitting nearby, crying very sadly. He hesitated, not knowing if he should comfort her, but then he decided to give up. The next day, Mrs. Pin came to visit Kongkwan's sister. She knew that she hadn't shot Mai, and that Uncle Pun wanted to help her get out, but she refused because prison was the safest place for her. It turned out that Mai was doing something bad that night, and she found out and wanted Mai to come back because he still had her and Fukheo. But he couldn't go back because they wouldn't let him go. If he went back now, they would harm his family and her too. But she still wanted to go with Mai. When they were about to leave, someone shot Mai and he passed away right in front of her. To protect herself and her family, she decided to confess that she shot Mai. EP5. Today, while paying attention to Mai's old car, Fukheo found a novel called Past Love Story in the trunk. His mom saw it and quickly grabbed it and hid it away, like she was hiding something from him. On the bus to school, Kongkwan gave up her seat for an old lady and ended up standing near Fukheo, but they both pretended they didn't know each other. Suddenly, the bus braked hard, causing Kongkwan to lose her balance and fall forward. Fukheo saw it and quickly caught her. The two looked into each other's eyes for a moment, but then Fukheo let go, causing Kongkwan to fall to the floor. Seeing that, Fukheo went over and helped her up. On Luxo's side, she went to Plu's house to bring him vegetables and asked Plu to give her a ride to school. She knew that Plu had dropped out of school, but was still hiding it from his grandparents. She advised him that lying like that wouldn't make him happy, but he didn't want his grandparents to be unhappy because of him, so he continued to hide it from them. Seeing that Plu wasn't in a good mood, Luxo asked him to skip school and hang out with her. Luxo had lived with her dad since she was little, so her personality was quite strong and carefree. In the midst of everyone's complicated relationships, Luxo was always trying to connect everyone. She took care of Kongkwan so that she wouldn't be bullied, and she encouraged and comforted Fukheo whenever he was sad. And for the person she liked, Luxo also learned how to protect her lover well, just like Plu. Meanwhile at school, Kongkwan remembered that her sister had asked her to find the novel Past Love Story for her, so she went to the library to look for it. Fukheo was standing behind her and overheard that she wanted to find the novel for her sister and that it was in the trunk of Mai's car. So he confronted her, but she refused to say anything because it was none of his business. She wanted to leave, but he grabbed her tightly, causing her pain and making her cry. Fukheo saw that and calmed down, gently asking her to tell him. Kongkwan looked at Fukheo's tears and instinctively reached out and cupped his face. Fukheo at this moment could no longer suppress his feelings and took the hand of the girl he secretly loved. Just then Nink arrived and saw this scene. The two of them were startled and let go of each other, and then Fukheo led Nink away. When Kongkwan returned to the classroom and took out the doll, she saw that it had been sewn back together neatly in her bag and knew that her dad had done it. So she sent him a thank you text. On her mom's side, Today she was called to clean the house of the big boss where Uncle Pun was. When he saw her, Uncle Pun was surprised and turned to remind the big boss of her identity, that she was the mother of Mai's girlfriend. At home, Fukheo's mom saw the novel and grabbed it, sitting down and crying sadly. Just then, Fukheo came home and saw it, and then went over and asked to borrow the novel. EP6 Fukheo wanted to borrow the book from his mom, because he wanted to see what Mai had left behind. But his mom said it was a book that her friend had given his parents as a wedding gift. He was confused about why Mai had his mom's book, but then he stopped caring about it. When he got back to his room, he read the book and finally understood why Kongkwan's sister wanted to find it. It turned out that this was the book that proved their love. Every time they went on a date, he would read this book. When he found out that Mai and Kongkwan's sister were lovers, Fukheo angrily ran to Kongkwan's house and confronted her. He didn't understand why his brother and Kongkwan's sister were lovers, but she had shot his brother. Kongkwan felt frustrated that he was always causing trouble with her sister. She told him to put all the blame on her and asked him not to mess with her sister anymore. While she was saying this, she took his hand and slapped herself in the face, startling Fukheo and making him push her away. Plu and Luxo saw this scene. Plu immediately charged in and physically attacked Fukheo. In that situation, Kongkwan suddenly jumped in to shield Fukheo and kept apologizing to him. Kongkwan's actions startled the two guys and made them stop. After a moment of confusion and surprise, Fukheo stood up and left. Plu was also stunned by his impulsive action. Luxo knew that Kongkwan's actions had hurt Plu, but she still advised him not to act like that with Fukheo next time. If he wanted to protect the girl he loved, he should just confess his feelings to Kongkwan. Then, it would be easier to understand why he was protecting his girlfriend. But if they were just siblings and Plu was overprotective, then their other siblings would be hurt. Plu was being too selfish by choosing to protect one sibling and hurting the others. Meanwhile, Fukheo drove to the movie theater that his brother used to go to. He confided in his brother's friend. Now he also knew that Mai and Kongkwan's sister were in love. He regretted that he wasn't there that night. If he had been, he wouldn't have let Kongkwan's sister shoot his friend. The next day at school, Nink went to find Kongkwan and ask her about what happened yesterday between her and Fukheo at the library. Even though Kongkwan said that there was nothing going on between her and Fukheo, Nink was still angry because she thought that Fukheo had changed because of Kongkwan. She charged at Kongkwan and physically attacked her. They were both taken to the principal's office. When the principal scolded Nink, she got angry and left. When she went to the bathroom to cool off, Luxo saw her and immediately attacked Nink for hitting her little sister. The two of them were taken to the principal's office again, and their parents were called in. Kongkwan stood outside waiting for Luxo and told her that she shouldn't have done this for her. Those words hurt Luxo, and she said that she only did it because she loved Kongkwan. And so did Plu. He only did stupid things because he loved Kongkwan. Plu also found Fukheo to explain that he didn't mean to hit him. He did it because he liked Kongkwan. And if he did it again, they wouldn't be brothers anymore. Hearing that, Fukheo stood up and punched Plu and declared that they were done. EP7 Today after school, Plu picked up Kongkwan and invited her friend to go out to eat too. Everyone chatted and joked around together, making her happier. This was her first smile of the day. That night, when he took her home, Plu confessed his feelings to her, asking her to be his girlfriend. But she didn't agree. She didn't want people to love her, because she was someone they wanted to protect. She didn't want to become a burden to anyone. Kongkwan's mom was on her way home from work when Uncle Pun stopped her and insisted that she find a way to prevent the boss's subordinates from hiring her to clean the house anymore, because it was too dangerous. She really didn't understand why he wanted her to do that. She had always known that he helped her family every time they moved. She also knew that Uncle Pun often visited her daughter in prison. There must be a secret behind it that she didn't know. Uncle Pun told her that sometimes parents couldn't interfere in their children's affairs. Kongkwan's mom suspected that Uncle Pun was the one who shot Mai. Otherwise, there was no reason for Uncle Pun to help her family. Uncle Pun quickly told her to shut her mouth and not to get involved in this, because it was very dangerous. The next morning, while on the bus to school, Fukheo pulled Kongkwan off the bus and drove away with her. Meanwhile, the teachers had invited Nink and Luxo's parents in to talk about their fight. It was then that Luxo's dad found out that his daughter had fought because of Kongkwan. Knowing that his daughter had struck first, Luxo's dad immediately apologized to the principal's office for his daughter causing trouble. Because he was also a single parent, The principal understood very well the hardships that Luxo's dad was going through. They talked happily before saying goodbye. On the other side, Fukheo drove Kongkwan to the prison and threatened her, telling her that she had to go see her sister with him, or he wouldn't give her the book that her sister needed. But she didn't agree and asked him not to hurt her sister anymore. She had already suffered so much. Hearing Kongkwan's words, Fukheo became even angrier. While she was being protected, loved, and understood by everyone, he, who had lost his brother and whose family had fallen apart, had become the unreasonable one in everyone's eyes. Hearing Fukheo's hateful words, Kongkwan changed her mind and agreed to go see her sister with him. When they met Kongkwan's sister, he asked her why she had shot Mai when they were lovers. But she didn't say anything. She only apologized and thanked him for always remembering Mai. When they left, Kongkwan saw that Fukheo was suffering so much, so she gave him back the doll that he had given her when she was little. It had helped her overcome difficulties for so many years. Now, she wanted him to take it back, so that it could help him get through it. Fukheo always said that no one understood him, but Kongkwan knew that he always missed his brother very much. For Fukheo, Mai was always in his heart. It was just her that he was trying to make disappear. Then, Kongkwan gave Fukheo back the superhero necklace that he had dropped earlier. Two people, with two souls that had suffered so much, were now comforting each other. In a moment of overwhelming emotion, Fukheo suddenly kissed Kongkwan on the lips. EP8. The two of them were surprised and flustered, not knowing what to do. Fukheo apologized for his disrespectful action. Kongkwan didn't blame or hate Fukheo. She was just angry about what he had done to her in the past. However, he really hated her, but she didn't care because she was used to it. She just hoped that he would forget about what had just happened and hate her a little less. Meanwhile, Plu was selling drug, but he wouldn't sell it to students. What Plu was doing was very similar to what Mai used to do. He also wouldn't sell to students. Plu was also thinking about the things he was doing now. His friend, who was with him, advised him to stop and not to get deeper into this illegal business. He knew that Plu was doing these illegal things just to earn money to support his grandparents. But he was different from Mai. He still had his family. Over at the boss's house, one of his subordinates knew that Kongkwan's mom was working there and objected, wanting to fire her. He didn't understand why the boss knew her identity but didn't fire her. What the boss wanted was to keep her around, so he could control her more easily. Over at the flour mill, the owner's son saw Kongkwan's dad, and immediately suspected his motives for working at his mill. In the afternoon, when Kongkwan's dad went to school to find her, he found out that she had skipped school. When he got home, he caught Fukheo dropping her off. He angrily dragged her inside and scolded her for being so gullible, for trusting someone who had insulted her, dumped trash in front of her house, and hurt her mom like that. Kongkwan explained that Fukheo had changed, and that he was trying to change, but her dad didn't believe it. He had hurt their family too much. Fukheo, who was outside, also heard these words and turned around and left. When he got home, he saw his mom crying. His mom was very heartbroken that he had left home, and she didn't want him to leave her again. When Luxo's dad and Fukheo's dad were drinking together, Kongkwan's dad suddenly charged in and physically attacked Fukheo's dad. He questioned Fukheo's dad about what his purpose was for letting his daughter skip school and follow his son. Seeing the situation, Luxo's dad went to stop him, but it didn't work. In a drunken outburst, Luxo finally exploded with emotion. She was angry that they used to be as close as family, but now they could turn on each other like this. Meanwhile, she and her dad were standing in the middle of the two families, exhausted, and no one cared. She wouldn't let the feelings of her, Plu, Kongkwan, and Fukheo be damaged like her and her dad's. When she got home, she sat and cried, confiding in her dad that she was very tired of always being the one who gave. EP9 the next morning, when Plu was getting ready to take Kongkwan to school, Fukheo came to Kongkwan's house wanting to take her, but her mom had already asked Plu, and she had refused, not wanting him to become her. As Plu drove Kongkwan to school, he realized that something was wrong with her. She told Plu about Fukheo saying that he would repent, and didn't want to cause trouble for her family anymore. She wanted Plu's opinion on whether she should trust Fukheo this time, but Plu told her to rely on her feelings to judge. At school, Fukheo was reminded by his teacher that he shouldn't skip school, because it would affect his performance in the student council president election. The teacher knew that he was idealistic because, during their first meeting, he had asked her how he could get into a good university and have a better future even though he wasn't doing well in school. She had asked him why he wanted to have a better life, and he had replied that he wanted to complete the things that his brother hadn't been able to do. As he left the teacher's office, he met Nink. She was very upset that he didn't tell her where he was going, that she would call him but he wouldn't answer, and that she would text him, but he wouldn't reply. Nink asked him directly if he no longer liked her. She was tired of having to guess the current state of their relationship. Nink wanted him to give her a clear answer. He apologized and said that he now knew his feelings. The person he liked wasn't her. It turned out that he had accepted Nink's confession, because that day he had asked Luxo to go to the movies, but she hadn't gone. So, when Nink confessed, he agreed in order to have someone to go to the movies with. Back in the classroom, as Fukheo was sitting lost in thought, Charlie walked into the classroom. He had finally come back to school. He was a close friend of Fukheo and Luxo, but he was also the son of the car factory that traded drugs, which Plu used to deal with. His return to school at this time was aimed at Fukheo. At lunchtime, Fukheo stopped by Kongkwan's classroom and apologized to her for her getting scolded by her dad because of him. He also promised to change, and he realized his mistakes in the past and would try to make up for his mistakes with her family. Meanwhile, Kongkwan's mom went to find Fukheo's mom and warned her not to let her son lure her daughter away from school. Fukheo's mom was also very angry when she found out that her son had taken Kongkwan to skip school. It turned out that she knew about Mai and Kongkwan's sister, but she strongly opposed it because Kongkwan's sister was a teacher and Mai was a student. But Mai didn't listen because he had never seen her as his mom. Today was the discussion with the candidates for student council president. Fukheo received the question of how he felt about having criminals in the school. Now his thinking was more mature. To him, whether they were in school or not, there would always be criminals. That was what he wanted the least, and he would be able to distinguish who was a criminal. This answer was very well received. When Kongkwan was walking home after school, she saw a stranger in front of her house. She was about to ask when her mom pulled her into the house. It turned out that it was Mai's mom, and she had come to demand money from her family. She was using the fact that her daughter had shot her son to make her family responsible. When she got inside, she asked what was going on, but her mom wouldn't tell her because she wanted her to focus on her studies. But the things that adults did always affected the children like her. She also wondered why her parents had never asked her sister if she had shot someone, but had already confirmed that she was the murderer. Her mom didn't want to believe it, because no parents wanted to believe that their child was a criminal. It was just that her sister had admitted that she was the murderer. Over at Fukheo's house, he was also being asked by his mom about taking Kongkwan to skip school. He firmly admitted that he liked Kongkwan and wanted to change, and didn't want to hide his feelings anymore. Hearing that, his mom became angry and didn't agree with him loving Kongkwan. He could love anyone, but not Kongkwan's family. Hearing that, he suspected that she also knew about Mai and Kongkwan's sister. Had she also opposed him in the past like she was doing with him now? Looking at her expression, he knew everything. So, he was even more suspicious that if Mai and Kongkwan's sister were lovers, why had she taken action against Mai? So the next day, he took Kongkwan to visit her sister again. He wanted to ask her how Mai had died. EP10 Kongkwan and Fukheo went straight from the prison to his dad to ask him about Mai's mom. At first, he didn't agree to tell them because it wasn't any of their business, but Fukheo said he wanted him to tell them, so he could help Kongkwan's parents. First, his dad asked where Fukheo had taken Kongkwan. He didn't hide that he had gone to see Kongkwan's sister. Her sister had told them about their love story and the happy times they had spent with Mai's mom. It turned out that in the past, his dad had been very angry when he found out that Mai was seeing his own mother. He went to the hotel where she was staying to warn her not to contact Mai anymore. Because she wasn't fit to be a mother, she had abandoned Mai when he was only a few months old. But she refused because she had given birth to Mai, and now she wanted him to repay her. He had been very angry and dragged Mai out, forbidding him from contacting his mom, because she wasn't fit to be a mother. But the more he forbade it, the more Mai felt sorry for his mom. She also tricked him into buying a house, so he could come live with her. Kongkwan's sister also told them that Fukheo's mom had met with her when she found out that she and Mai were in love. She had wanted her to end things with Mai for the good of both of them, no matter how much she begged. Later, her sister was also tired and wanted to break up with Mai, but he refused because he loved her very much. He felt that there was nothing wrong with them loving each other and wanted them to get through it together. Mrs. Pin, who was standing outside, heard everything and came in to comfort the sister. She learned that she was pregnant with Mai's child. She advised her to let Mai know, and they could solve it together. Finally, Kongkwan's sister decided to tell Mai that she was pregnant. When he heard that he was going to have a child, Mai was very happy and comforted her. He wanted them to run away together and live with his birth mom. It was on the night of the last movie, showing that they decided to leave. Before leaving, Mai took her to the warehouse to meet someone, and then take her to the house he bought for his mom. But when they arrived, he realized that he had been tricked by his mom. She had taken his money to pay off her debts, not to buy a house. He was very disappointed, but Kongkwan's sister comforted him, saying that he still had her, and that they could do anything to start over. At that moment, headlights suddenly shone on them. Mai sensed danger, and quickly drove her away. He was being chased by the police and the boss's men, so Mai took her to the movie theater to hide. When there was no turning back, he wanted her to go back as if nothing had happened today, and he would take care of everything else. But she didn't want to. She wanted to go through everything with him. Finally, everything happened as it did. Mai was dead, and Kongkwan's sister confessed to the crime. At this time, Fukheo's dad asked Fukheo if Kongkwan's sister had told them who had fired the gun, but she had no intention of revealing the real killer. Hearing that, Fukheo's dad understood the situation and advised Fukheo and Kongkwan not to tell anyone about what had happened today. He would take care of everything else. Meanwhile, Plu was remembering his deal with Charlie from that afternoon. He and his friend discussed wanting to trade goods. They would lower the price for Charlie on the condition that he fire Kongkwan's dad from his factory. They didn't want him to be involved in Charlie's factory, but he didn't agree right away and needed to think about it carefully. Seeing that, the two sides charged in and were about to fight. Charlie openly looked down on Mai's friend because he foolishly believed that Mai's girlfriend had shot Mai. Also, before Mai died, he had brought something to his dad, and then his dad was arrested and died in prison. When Plu came to his senses from his thoughts, he saw Fukheo taking Kongkwan home. He immediately got out of the car and confronted them. Fukheo also admitted that he used to hate Kongkwan, but now he liked her, and he wanted Plu to believe him. He would prove to Plu that he had no intention of harming Kongkwan. EP11 Plu knew that maybe his confession to Kongkwan in the past would not have an answer, because he knew she liked Fukheo. Over at Luxo's house, she was annoyed that Nink had been sitting at her doorstep for 2 days straight, and wouldn't leave no matter how much she tried to get rid of her. The two of them and her dad were arguing about whether they should bring food out to Nink, or ask her to come inside to eat, when Nink suddenly rushed to the table, saying she was hungry. Luxo was about to scold Nink that if she wanted to go to Fukheo's house, she should go to the end of the alley, but she refused because she had only come here because she didn't have any friends. Luxo was about to keep scolding her when she saw Nink eating and crying. Feeling sorry for her, Luxo gave Nink a tissue. At this time, the principal came to pick up Nink and apologized for causing trouble for her family. Her dad, seeing that the principal was a big shot, said that it was no problem. Meanwhile, Mai's friend was thinking about Charlie and what had happened that afternoon. He knew that the goods that Mai had given to Charlie's dad were what the boss had asked them to transport, so his son could create a kidnapping scene to get promoted. At this time, Uncle Pun brought food over. He also asked about Mai's situation. He blamed Uncle Pun for not telling him, but Uncle Pun said that he was also very distraught at the time and wasn't paying attention to anything. He also wondered that if Mai was dead, who had taken the money he had traded with Charlie's dad and who had killed Mai. At this time, Uncle Pun was very angry when he knew that he was suspecting him of shooting Mai. The next day, Fukheo and Kongkwan met. He asked her why she didn't hate him, even though he had done so many things to hurt her. It was because Kongkwan knew that she and him were the same. They had both been hurt by those things. Plu's grandma also gave her the birthday card that Fukheo had intended to give her, and told her to sympathize with him, no matter what he did to her. From then on, when he hurt her, she also realized that he was also someone who was suffering like her. The two of them understood each other, and had fun together like before. Over at Fukheo's house, his dad came to ask why his mom had known about Mai and Kongkwan's sister all along but hadn't told him. But he only knew about alcohol and movies all day and didn't care about Mai. He blamed her for not saying anything. So Mai had left home and died like that, which made her very angry. That night, when Fukheo drove Kongkwan home, Plu was waiting to help them hide it from her parents. Mrs. Pin also went to find Uncle Pun to tell him about how Kongkwan's sister had told Fukheo about Mai's situation, but hadn't told everything. Uncle Pun was also hiding something. EP12 Mai's dad went to the prison to visit Kongkwan's sister to ask her about who had killed Mai, but she refused to say. She wanted to keep the secret, not because anyone was forcing her, but because she didn't want to reveal anything so everyone could keep the best memories of Mai. Kongkwan and Fukheo visited Mai's grave. Since visiting Kongkwan's sister, he had also decided that he wouldn't let his brother's death be buried. He would definitely find out the truth. Today was the student council president election. As predicted, Fukheo officially became the new student council president. But he didn't know that, behind the scenes, Charlie had talked to Kongkwan. He used her dad to threaten her to come find him to talk after school. Meanwhile, Kongkwan's mom was working at the boss's house. She accidentally witnessed him killing someone without batting an eye. Unfortunately, Uncle Pun saw her and knew she had witnessed everything. But he acted like he didn't see anything. She remembered what Pun had told her, to stay away from the boss's house, because it was very dangerous there. So she went to school to pick up Kongkwan and take her away. But as soon as she entered the classroom, she saw her and Fukheo talking and laughing together. Seeing that, she hurriedly ran over and separated them, wanting to take Kongkwan away. Fukheo saw that she was very angry. He knelt down and begged her not to make things difficult for Kongkwan. They had only eaten and talked together. He had realized his mistakes and would never hurt Kongkwan again. Even so, she didn't believe him and angrily led Kongkwan away. On the way, Kongkwan tried to explain that Fukheo had changed. She hoped that she would trust her, that she wouldn't be wrong. She still didn't say anything and led her away. At the stairs, Kongkwan couldn't take it anymore. She pulled her to a stop, disappointed, and asked if she didn't trust her. Before Mai died, she had said that her family, Fukheo's family, Luxo's family, and Plu's family were one big family. So, she still believed what she said. She chose to believe in Fukheo's change. It was true that she had said that. But after so many events, she now knew that people's hearts were very wicked. She wouldn't easily trust anyone anymore. And that included Fukheo. On Uncle Pun's side, he had called Mai's friend, Plu, and Mrs. Pin to ask everyone to help him do something. Hearing that, Mrs. Pin didn't agree right away. She wanted Uncle Pun to tell all the truths that he was hiding from everyone if he wanted everyone to wholeheartedly work for him. Fukheo went to see his dad to confide in him. This was the first time in so many years that the two had sat down and confided in each other. After the conversation, the two of them understood each other better, and Fukheo also cleared up his misunderstandings about his dad. When he got home, he happened to witness his mom kissing Mrs. Pin, which shocked him. EP13 It turned out she had not married his dad because she loved him, but because he was the father of Fukheo. The only person she loved was Mrs. Pin. Fukheo, hearing about his mom, was incredibly hurt. He also knew the wedding gift book his mom had was from Mrs. Pin. That's why she treasured it so much. Over at Kongkwan's house, her mom announced that she wanted to move to Kongkwan and her dad. Kongkwan, hearing this, refused outright. She wanted to know the reason why her mom was so determined to move, but her mom refused to say and left. Only Kongkwan and her dad were left sitting. She told her dad how she felt. Her life was getting better. She didn't want to lose it to start over. She was tired of that. Her dad, hearing his daughter's feelings, agreed with her that he would convince her mom not to move. At the movie theater, the police inspector, who was the son of the boss, came to find Uncle Pun. He suddenly lunged at him and hit him without letting Uncle Pun say a word. It turned out he was furious knowing about what Mai did in the past that made Charlie's dad go to prison. So now Charlie was going up against him. He swore he wouldn't let Charlie off. He would make Charlie's factory shut down. The next day, when Kongkwan was getting ready to go to school, her mom made her stay home and confiscated her phone, making her helpless and having to go to her room. She didn't understand why her mom was so determined to move. At school, Fukheo heard that she wasn't at school today from her friend. He was worried, so he called Luxo to go to her house and see what was going on. When Luxo arrived at the door, Nink stopped her, wanting to know where Luxo was going so she could go with her because she was suspended and was going crazy from being bored. But Luxo refused. When Luxo got to the house, wanting to see Kongkwan, Kongkwan's mom hesitated a little, but still let her in the house. Going to Kongkwan's room, the two sisters confided in each other about Kongkwan's mom definitely wanting to move. Luxo thought it might be because of Fukheo that Kongkwan's mom was like that. But Kongkwan thought her mom probably had another reason that she wasn't telling her. Right now, she was very confused and sad, not knowing what to do. Luxo knew how uncomfortable Kongkwan felt, but she didn't know what to do, so she could only hug Kongkwan and comfort her. On the side of the police inspector, he had started to take action. He had set a trap and arrested Kongkwan's dad for storing flour in order to put the blame on Charlie's factory. Kongkwan's mom, knowing this, hurriedly went to the police station. She knew her husband was innocent, but the police inspector was setting him up. She immediately took out the video she had recorded of the police inspector killing someone to threaten him. The police inspector had to release Kongkwan's dad and arrest someone else as a replacement. Fukheo's dad, knowing that Mai's mom was still using Mai's death to extort money from Kongkwan's family, went to find Mai's birth mom and gave her some money so she could leave Kongkwan's family alone. But what she wanted wasn't that. She wanted to get back with Mai's dad. This was impossible. She was frustrated that Mai's dad always saw her as the bad guy, always saying she wasn't qualified to be a mother. But she had never wanted to have children. He had wanted a happy family. He also apologized for hurting her. When he got home, he drank with Luxo's dad and confided in him. Now he just wanted his children to be happy like they used to be. On the side of Kongkwan's family, her parents came home and wanted the whole family to move right away, making her and Luxo stunned. She really didn't understand why she had to move when everything was getting better now, and if her mom didn't tell her the exact reason, she wouldn't move. She didn't want to run away anymore. Her mom angrily slapped her and made her definitely move. The boss also met with Uncle Pun. He knew Kongkwan's mom had recorded a video of his son killing someone, and he wanted Uncle Pun to take care of her. This made Uncle Pun think about the past. How my selling things to Charlie's dad made the police inspector lose his chance at promotion. So he was very resentful and came to cause trouble for Uncle Pun. Right then, they saw my leading Kongkwan's sister run into the movie theater. In anger, the police inspector wanted to kill Mai, but Uncle Pun stopped him. Unexpectedly, the boss standing behind them stepped forward and took Uncle Pun's gun, finishing off Mai before he could react. EP 14. Fukheo and his dad were talking about his mom and Mrs. Pin when Luxo came to tell him that Kongkwan was about to move. So he flew, and Luxo asked Kongkwan to come out. Knowing they were about to be separated, they regretted it and hugged each other like they did when they were little. Then, they decided to go to Mai's friend's house and stay there for one night to say goodbye. Fukheo finally got to be alone with Kongkwan. He knew they were about to be separated, but no matter where Kongkwan went, they would still love each other like their older siblings had loved each other. On Luxo's side, taking advantage of the atmosphere of being alone with Plu, she finally expressed her feelings to Plu. Even if he didn't like her, it was okay, but she wanted him to be able to love himself, do what he wanted, and live the way he wanted. On Kongkwan's parents' side, wanting to apologize to her for slapping her, they went to her room to find her, but she wasn't there. Her mom went to Fukheo's house to look for her and made a scene, arguing with Fukheo's mom. Her dad went to Fukheo's dad's house to look for her, but didn't find her either. Her mom, getting anxious, went to knock on Plu and Luxo's door, but she wasn't there either, so she had to go home. As soon as she got to the door, she sensed that something was off. Someone had broken into her house. She was about to go find Kongkwan's dad when two people broke in and kidnapped her, then drugged her. The next morning, when her husband came home, he didn't see her. He called, but no one answered, so he was about to go look for her when he saw Kongkwan and the other three enter the house. Searching for her all night, when he saw her come home, he got angry and slapped her. He thought she was selfish, wanting to run away from home. Fukheo stepped forward to speak up for her, but was also hit by her dad. At this time, Luxo said that Kongkwan didn't want to run away, but just wanted to say goodbye to them. Just then, the police came to the house and told him to identify the person in the picture to see if it was his wife. They had found her body near the old car factory. Hearing this news, Kongkwan and her dad collapsed, unable to believe what they had just heard. Everyone else heard the news and was shocked. Fukheo blamed himself for taking Kongkwan away, so her mom had to go look for her, leading to this happening. Fukheo's mom also remembered how close they used to be and then became enemies. She was very sad and regretful. It turned out that the police had raided the flour smuggling ring at the car factory last night and had found her near the factory. On the day of the funeral, everyone was very sad because she had passed away. Plu's grandma suddenly became lucid and went over to comfort Kongkwan. At this time, Fukheo's family came to offer their condolences, but when he saw them, Kongkwan's dad couldn't take it anymore and punched Fukheo's dad. He thought that his wife had been killed because of Fukheo's family. Seeing that, Kongkwan ran out to stop her dad and said it wasn't their fault, it was her fault. It was because she had run away from home that her mom had turned out like this. Hearing that, Fukheo was heartbroken and stepped forward to hug her, and then Luxo and Plu came. They hugged each other and cried heartbreakingly. EP 15 During the funeral, Kongkwan was tired and fell asleep. Her dad asked Luxo to walk her to school because he was very worried about her current mood. Fukheo's family wasn't allowed into the funeral by her dad, so they were waiting outside until night. Fukheo's parents advised him to go home, but he didn't want to go. He still wanted to stay with Kongkwan. When he got home, Fukheo's dad told his mom about how he knew about her and Baim, but he had grown up and respected her decision. He also said that Kongkwan's sister wasn't the one who had killed Mai, but she had taken the blame for some reason. Now he also wanted her to think positively. He didn't want Fukheo to be like Mai. He wanted Fukheo to be happy. The next morning, when Fukheo got home, he was surprised when his mom's attitude changed. She prepared lunch for him and Kongkwan. She even accepted that he loved Kongkwan. At the funeral, Fukheo's dad also came and told the truth, that Kongkwan's sister hadn't killed Mai. He blamed himself for being stupid, and because of his son's death, blindly believed that Kongkwan's sister was the culprit. Now if Kongkwan's dad wanted to blame him, he should, but he should let Kongkwan and Fukheo be together. The two of them hadn't done anything wrong. Today at school, Fukheo also especially took care of and comforted Kongkwan while she was in pain. At this time, Nink also came to offer condolences to Luxo, and told her that the factory near where Kongkwan's mom's body was found was owned by Charlie, her best friend's family, but Nink hadn't seen anyone talking about that. After school, Luxo took Kongkwan home so she could change, then she would pick her up. Taking advantage of that, Luxo went to Fukheo's house and told him about what Nink had said to her about the factory where Kongkwan's mom's body was found being owned by Charlie's family. While the two were talking, they suddenly received a call from Kongkwan. But the person on the other end of the line was Charlie. He wanted Fukheo to come to Kongkwan's house right away, and not to tell anyone. Otherwise Kongkwan would be in danger. When Luxo and Fukheo arrived, they saw Kongkwan tied up, so they ran over, but Charlie threatened them, pointing a gun at Kongkwan, not letting them get close, otherwise he would shoot. Luxo and Fukheo stopped, asking why Charlie was doing this when they considered him a friend. But in reality, he had never considered Fukheo a friend. He had approached Fukheo from the beginning to get revenge on Fukheo, because his brother had caused his dad to go to prison and die in prison. Just then, Plu arrived and punched Charlie, knocking him down, then advised him to turn himself in. But Charlie wouldn't listen. He raised his gun and pointed it at Fukheo, wanting to shoot him. But Fukheo, seeing Charlie point the gun at him, didn't show any fear. He even grabbed the gun and pressed it against himself, making Charlie confused. Fukheo continued to advise Charlie that even though Charlie had an agenda when he approached Fukheo, over the years they had been friends, he had seen Charlie was very happy. Moreover, Fukheo, Luxo, and Kongkwan hadn't done anything wrong. Everything was because of the adults. Why should Charlie suffer and be punished for what the adults had done? Everyone also advised Charlie to turn himself in and start over. Finally, he agreed to turn himself in. Everything was over. Plu told Luxo and Fukheo to take Kongkwan to the funeral and not to tell anyone about this. He would take Charlie into hiding. He took Charlie to Uncle Pun, and he promised that he would definitely turn himself in. Uncle Pun told Mai's friend to take him into hiding. Just then, the police inspector arrived and threatened to take Charlie away, so the two sides pointed guns at each other. The police inspector was showing off, wanting to arrest Charlie and charge him. Plu sarcastically asked him if he, as a police inspector, could just kill and arrest people at will. During this tense situation, Uncle Pun suddenly stepped forward and shot the police inspector and his subordinates, shocking everyone. Then, he told Plu to go back to his family and to pretend he had never known him. He told Mai's friend to take Charlie into hiding until he turned himself in. He made Charlie promise that he would turn his life around when he got out of prison. He said to leave everything else there for him to handle. EP 16. Uncle Pun stayed at the theater alone and called the boss, telling him to come so he could see his son one last time. It turned out that Uncle Pun had been adopted by the boss and worked for him. One day, Uncle Pun had someone he loved, so he went to tell the boss he wanted to leave. But he wouldn't let him, demanding that Uncle Pun stay and repay him for raising him. So Uncle Pun had abandoned the person he loved in order to stay and repay him. Uncle Pun had been loyal to him, but that had harmed many innocent people, and it made Uncle Pun feel guilty. After saying that, Uncle Pun pointed his gun at the boss, but the boss couldn't take it lightly. He also took out his gun and pointed it at Uncle Pun at the same time. The two shot each other and died on the spot. That night, Kongkwan's dad finally forgave Fukheo and told him to go to Kongkwan, that it might make her feel better. The next day, Mrs. Pin took Charlie to the police station to turn himself in. Mai's friend was very worried about Uncle Pun, so he wanted to go to the movie theater and check on him. Unexpectedly, as soon as he entered, he saw that Pun had died a long time ago. Before he died, Uncle Pun had asked Mrs. Pin to keep Mai's suitcase until the day his girlfriend got out of prison. Today was the cremation of Kongkwan's mom. Her dad had forgiven Fukheo's family and allowed him and his dad to attend the funeral. At this time, a police car arrived. It was Kongkwan's sister. She was allowed to attend her mom's funeral. Seeing her sister, she and her dad happily went out to hug her. The funeral was held successfully. That night, the four of them, Kongkwan, Plu, Luxo and Fukheo, slept together and promised that they would never leave each other again. 5 months later, Fukheo and Luxo graduated. Because he didn't want to be apart from Kongkwan, Fukheo decided to study at the same school as Plu, near her house. Nink and Luxo also became best friends. Moreover, Luxo's dad and the principal also decided to become lovers. Kongkwan's sister was also released from prison. Her family was reunited. Everyone, like before, gathered happily to watch the movies that Fukheo's dad was showing. At this time, Mrs. Pin also returned Mai's suitcase to Kongkwan's sister. Everyone lived together like one big family like in the old days. The movie has come to a perfect ending. Thank you for watching. Remember to give us a like and hit follow, so we can have the motivation to release more great movies.